All right, guys, with summer finally here, I thought now would be the perfect time to count down what I think are the top 10 best summer horror movies. Outside of Halloween in the fall, I honestly think summer is the second most important season for a horror movie. Whether it's the woods, road trips, isolation, heat, summer camps, or beaches, there's just something about the summer atmosphere that is great for horror. Now, this is going to be a two-part video. I'm going to be counting down 10 through 6 today, and then I'll be doing 5 through 1 at the next video because I just figured there's too many summer movies, and I just wanted to have more fun with it by doing a top 10. So let's get into it. All right, at number 10, we have 2002's Cabin Fever, directed by Eli Roth. Cabin Fever has that quintessential summer cabin vacation setup. Bunch of teens go out to have a vacation in the woods and things go horribly wrong. The only difference is instead of a supernatural entity or a serial killer, they are dealing with an infection from dirty water up in the woods. Right away, it captures the feeling of being isolated away from civilization. It has that college kids partying in the woods vibe right off the bat. Feels grimy and humid throughout the whole movie. And having it be an infection body horror movie definitely makes it very interesting. Ryder Strong's in the movie from Boy Meets World. I'm a big fan of him. It's definitely more of an infection or paranoia style horror movie rather than just a typical serial killer in the woods slasher horror movie. That's what makes it really interesting. Eli Roth's low budget style shines through in this. This was his directorial debut, I believe. It ended up being quite the hit, and it's got quite the cult following, and it has a couple of very, very memorable gore scenes in it. It's grimy, it's uncomfortable, it's sweaty. It's the perfect example of a summer trip gone wrong, and that's why I think it lands at number 10 for me. All right, at number 9, we have The Lost Boys from 1987, directed by Joel Schumacher. A big reason I put this one on my list is because it gives that vibe of feeling like you're staying out too late during summer vacation. The nighttime aesthetic of the carnival, the neons, it just screams summer nights in the 1980s, which is awesome. It's one of the best vampire movies ever made, of course. The California beach town setting instantly gives it that hot summer nights feel. I think the beach setting definitely separates it from most vampire movies. It definitely gives off a summer coming of age horror movie vibe to it. The carnival and concert scenes feel energetic, and the soundtrack just screams summer. When I hear Cry Little Sister to this day, I usually want to play it in the summertime, not in the wintertime. Corey Feldman and Corey Haim, man, they steal the show, of course. I put this on my list of horror movies I can watch over and over. I stand by that still. I could watch this movie today. I could watch it next week. I've lost count of how many times I've watched it. It's a perfect movie to me to throw on during a hot summer night when you got nothing going on. The vampire gang fit the rebellious summer vibe perfectly. And I think of a lot of the movies on my list, it has one of the strongest summer night atmosphere vibes. That's why I definitely think it's one of the greatest summer horror movies ever made. So yeah, number 9, The Lost Boys. All right, now at number 8, we have Robert Rodriguez's From Dusk Till Dawn from 1996. Written by Quentin Tarantino. First off, I gotta say, I love Quentin Tarantino's writing. Absolutely love it. I'm a big, big fan. And what I really like about From Dusk Till Dawn is how it almost feels like two completely different movies. It's like the first half feels like Tarantino's movie, and then the second half really feels like a Robert Rodriguez movie. And I say that because the first half just feels like a crime movie. Like, you don't even realize where it's going to go when you first watch it. But then, out of nowhere, it just turns into a vampire movie. George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino are very memorable as the Greco brothers. It's crazy how you go from thinking that they're kind of scumbags to absolutely the heroes in the movie, George Clooney in particular. The loaded cast makes the movie feel bigger than a typical horror film, too. You got George Clooney, you got Tarantino, you got Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, Danny Trejo, Tom Savini, the great Tom Savini's in it, Cheech Marin, Salma Hayek. they make it feel like a massive B movie because it has a B movie style, especially when you get to the vampires. I put it on my list because it feels like a grimy summer road trip movie from the start. And then when you actually get to the strip club, it just feels hot. It feels sweaty. There's just a lot going on. The neon lighting, the desert heat, the sweat, the loud music, the fire, all give it this incredible summer vibe to me. And it being about vampires absolutely makes it a horror movie. When it ends, it gives off that this was just one crazy damn night kind of vibe. I think it balances action, horror, comedy very, very well. One of my favorite scripts that Tarantino ever did. And honestly, one of my favorite Robert Rodriguez movies too. The movie doesn't feel Halloween or cozy or fall at all. It feels summer. It feels hot, loud, reckless, and dangerous. That's why I think it's one of the best late night summer movies ever made. And that's why I absolutely have no problem putting it at number 8 on my list. So with that is From Dusk Till Dawn. All right, so at number 7, we have Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Now, Tucker and Dale versus Evil is more of a horror comedy. It came out in 2010 and it was directed by Eli Craig. And it stars Alan Tudyk as Tucker and Tyler Labine as Dale. You know, I think this is one of the funniest horror comedies ever made. And it still feels like a legitimate horror movie. That's why I'm such a big fan of it. The plot is very simple. It follows Tucker and Dale, two well-meaning rednecks who buy a rundown vacation cabin in the woods. And then a group of college kids are on vacation, imagine that, and they automatically assume Tucker and Dale are serial killers. And the movie just spirals out of control because of the misunderstandings of Tucker and Dale and the college kids. And the funniest part is instead of Tucker and Dale hunting the teenagers are so dumb they pretty much end up killing themselves. That's what makes it funny, especially as a fan of slasher movies, man. They spend most of the movie, Tucker and Dale do, just confused about why everyone is scared of them. Because in the movie, they show that they couldn't hurt a fly, which is great.
Hey, hillbilly! You shoot at us again, and your dog's dead!
If you kill my dog, I swear to God, I'll get really mad.
I think the movie does a great job of flipping summer horror movie tropes upside down, you know, especially the cabin in the woods ones and the, you know, isolation ones, all of that. And it takes place in the summer. It feels like a summer movie. I definitely think it gives off that vibe of a movie that you would watch on a 100-degree day when you just want to stay inside and you want to giggle a little bit and you're a fan of horror. Alan Tudyk and Tyler Labine have great chemistry as Tucker and Dale. They make me laugh the entire time. I've seen this a bunch of times and I still chuckle at parts every single time I watch the movie. And even with it being a comedy, it still has plenty of blood and gore and violence, which absolutely makes it a horror movie to me. I mean, it definitely feels more like a summer disaster movie than a traditional scary movie, but I still consider it a horror comedy. And a great example of a horror comedy movie done right. I also think it does a great job of just capturing the essence of what 80s slashers were meant to be, even though it was a comedy. And so for that, that's why I proudly put this at number 7 on my list. So with that is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. All right, rounding out the top half of my top 10, we have The Burning, directed by Tony Maylam. Now, fun fact about The Burning, it came out in 1981, the same year as Friday the 13th, Part 2. But oftentimes, The Burning is very overlooked, and it's a highly underrated early 80s slasher movie as far as I'm concerned. I like this movie more than most Friday the 13th movies. To me, it feels like one of the purest examples of summer camp horror ever put on film. I feel like if there was a template of how to do a summer camp slasher movie, you gotta go to something like The Burning. The plot follows a horribly burned camp caretaker named Crosby who returns years later to get revenge on camp counselors and campers. The setup feels simple and mean in the best possible way I can compliment that as far as an early slasher movie goes. The summer camp setting in this one gives a incredible atmosphere from beginning to end. You feel like you're at summer camp in this one. From campfires, lake scenes, rafts, cabins, ghost stories, to late night camp activities, to even the sex, it makes it feel like a true summer horror movie. As far as the atmosphere, again, it feels very humid, very dirty, very sweaty. It feels lived in, which is great. And as far as it being a template, I mean that in the sense it has that very common these days teens away at summer camp vibe. It's been done over and over to death, but when this came out, it was very original and pretty ahead of its time. It feels a lot less polished and a lot more raw than other slasher movies. There's a massacre scene on a raft that is iconic to people who know it. It's very famous. It's one of the most famous kills in early slasher history. It features a very young Jason Alexander with hair, mind you, which is kind of interesting to see. It also features in small bits Holly Hunter and Fisher Stevens. It feels like the kind of movie you discover on summer vacation on like HBO or Showtime late at night when you're bored in the 90s. And once you discover that movie, you're just instantly obsessed with it and you want to watch it over and over, or you end up recording it on tape. I think it captures the essence of early slasher movies very well, especially before there was a gluttony of summer camp slasher movies. Doesn't rely on supernatural or mythological storytelling. It's just literally a dude who got burnt who wants to kill people. I think it has that gritty, low-budget energy, and I think it's one of the best hidden gem summer campfire movies I've ever seen. And it's one of my favorite slasher movies of all time. And at number 6, and rounding out the top half of my list, is The Burning. All right, so with that, that is the top half of my top 10 summer horror movies of all time. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with a lot of them? Do you disagree with any of them? Just let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe and be on the lookout for the bottom half of this top 10. And that's all I got. Thanks.